What's going on? In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 4 pros and the top 4 cons of living in Annapolis, Maryland. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share with you a Naptown secret, which is how every year we get to see a military air show for free. Hey everybody, Mike Williams here with Remax 1 of Annapolis, Maryland. And today's #1 pro for living in Annapolis, Maryland is the small town atmosphere. Even though Annapolis is just about 7.5 square miles and it has well over 30,000 people in its populace, you would never know it. There's only a couple of main roads in and a couple of main roads out, and the town is a couple of peninsulas surrounded by water. So what you have is just basically bi-directional flow of traffic, the ability to go enjoy a historic town center, whether you're downtown in Ego Alley, you're over on Maryland Avenue outside of the state capitol, or you're up on Main Street or West Street up by Church Circle. It's just a nice little quiet historic town. Make a couple of turns at night, close your eyes, open them up when you've hit a couple of different intersections, and you will feel like you're back in the 1800s. Just the historic nature of this town makes it feel really small. When you leave some of the main roads and you get into the neighborhoods, again, because of the water, each neighborhood is actually a pretty small neighborhood. Pro number 2, the restaurants. There is so much food from all over the world just in this small 7 square miles. You couldn't hit every restaurant in a year if you tried to. The great news is no matter what you feel like, whether it's a cup of coffee, a wonderful pastry, some heavy Italian at nighttime, maybe it's a slice of pizza or it's a big steakhouse, we have it here. And we have everything from either a high-end cowboy bone-in steak, with salmon and escargot and whatever you choose, all the way down to simple fried chicken and tacos. Pro number 3 is the nightlife. Annapolis has plenty of bars through its main corridors, and all of these bars, again, are located in this historic district. So when you go into the bar, you enjoy a wonderful evening with your friends. When you come out, you feel like you're taken back in time. You got the nice fresh air coming in off of the water. You can take a little stroll down to the water, and you can truly enjoy the atmosphere that not only is inside the bars, but also surrounds the outside of the bars. If the bars aren't your thing and you just enjoy that nightlife, then come down and enjoy a sunset. For those of you that really have a good time, you can enjoy a wonderful sunrise over the water. Or take your time, relax, walk the streets, enjoy the waterfront, have an ice cream cone, and bring the family. There's plenty of things to do here at night for everyone. And again, it's all located in that small town atmosphere. Pro number 4 of living in Annapolis is the waterfront itself. Annapolis is surrounded by water. So if you have any desire that has anything to do with the water, we're the place for you to be. If you like to fish, if you like to sail, if you like to kayak, stand-up paddleboard, this is the place for you. We have little fishing creek areas, which are tidal basins, where the water is always calm. You can take a kayak, you can go fishing, you can relax and do some stand-up paddleboard. If you prefer to sail and be out on the bay, the Chesapeake Bay is literally straight out of Annapolis Harbor, bang a right and stay straight, and you're in the bay in about 4 minutes. If you don't like the bay and the bay is too rough, then we have the Severn River that sits up on the northeast side of Annapolis. Again, it can still get windy and pretty rough in the Severn, but it's a little bit more protected than the bay. If you just want to relax and enjoy the beaches and enjoy some swimming, then within a very close distance is a couple of state parks that do have beach waterfront on the Chesapeake Bay itself. All right, now it's time to get to the serious part, the cons. We got 4 main cons of living in Annapolis, and I'm sure we can come up with a bunch more pros and a bunch more cons. But these are the 4 main ones that I believe are truly kind of some of the downfall of living in Annapolis. But I don't think they're even close to the pros. Con number 1, the traffic. Annapolis, again, is surrounded by water with a bunch of peninsulas. There's usually 1 to 2 ways to get to from point A to point B, and it's never the straightest route. So what happens if anything happens to that road, whether it's traffic, an accident, or just backed up because of, believe it or not, flooding, you have a really hard time getting around town. The other thing is a lot of people love to come downtown. They love to enjoy the Ego Alley and enjoy the water and see the historic sites. And because of that, we can just end up with very heavy traffic. Oh, and don't forget the Bay Bridge. Obviously, everybody in Maryland loves to go to the Eastern Shore, whether it's going to Ocean City, Delaware, or Ocean City, Maryland, and they're truly just heading out to the beaches. We are the one corridor that gets backed up for people going to the Eastern Shore. Now it's not in the city proper. It is Route 50, which is in Annapolis, but that traffic getting backed up for the Bay Bridge will back up the traffic in downtown Annapolis as well. So you have to pay attention to the days, the times, and especially the times of year, and when you set appointments or want to come downtown or want to go enjoy the nightlife. Con number 2, parking. This city has been around for well over 200, 300 years. So because of that, our streets are tight and they're very narrow. And what does that mean? We've got a lot of visitors, a lot of tourists, and a lot of residents. So where do you park? When you do come to park or find a place to park in Annapolis, it's not impossible, but you need to pay attention. Keep an eye on the street signs in your area. One of two things can happen. It can be free parking in the morning, and then by afternoon, you have to pay a meter. Another one is it's only permit parking. So you can park, but you need to look for the signs and make sure that you don't need a permit for either the area that you live in or the place that you're going to visit. And finally, we do have meters. The good news is we've adapted to the 21st century, which is as long as you have a smartphone, then you're able to actually pay on your smartphone for those meters. But again, you better pay attention. Some meters can be extended. Others, you have to move your car. And if you don't move your car, obviously you'll get a ticket. Now, there are a couple of good-sized parking garages. I would say there's 3 in the area that are all within walking distance of either Main Street, West Street, or Dock Street or downtown. And all of those are reasonably priced and you can park at the parking garages. But just be prepared. If you're coming down with a group of friends and family, make sure you all come into one car or all plan on going to the same parking garage. Con number 3 is, believe it or not, Waterfront. Sounds familiar, right? Because I think it was like pro number 2 or pro number 4, right? So what is the problem with the Waterfront? In a nutshell, it's flooding, and it's flooding in a couple key areas. When this city was built a couple hundred years ago, it was built on a lower tab, if you will, or it was a lower sea level, all right? And now the bay has risen just with everything else. So now what happens is if we get the right southeasterly wind or the right front coming in, rain, storms, whatever, let's call it a nor'easter, the right combination of weather, and before you know it, we're flooding. And it could be perfectly sunny with a beautiful sunrise, and you're actually going to have flooding in downtown Annapolis. Now, this usually isn't enough flooding where everybody needs to run to the high ground and go call their insurance companies, but it is enough to shut roads down. So as those roads get shut down, that takes us back to con number 1. Traffic. And I did say there's only 1 or 2 ways to get from point A to point B, and both of them they're never the straightest route. So when one route gets cut off, you're adding in 20 to 30 minutes to your 5-10 minute route just to get out of town. Con number 4, tight streets. Comes back to this city being very, very old. All of the streets are tight. When you park on a street in Annapolis, Maryland, take your mirrors and tuck them in. Because if you don't, you're going to learn the mirror game. And the mirror game is simply, as you're driving down the road, you know who's either from Annapolis or who's not. Because those that aren't, usually their mirror's all broken. At some point, somebody will clip your mirror. Again, these streets were built when everybody was on horse and buggies. And we've expanded them over time. But you can only go so far because the buildings have existed since then as well. So again, the streets are very tight. So it means whenever you're coming around big buses, fire trucks, trash trucks, things like that, be aware of them. They can't always make the turns that we can make. And then obviously when you're parking, make sure you pull your mirrors in. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a surprise by the time you get back and you've had a wonderful evening with your nightlife. All right, so I said stick around with me to the end, and I'm going to share with you one big secret on how every person in Annapolis will get a free air show every single year. We are the proud stakeholders, if you will, or the part of this city is the Naval Academy. Every year, the Naval Academy has commencement. That commencement week is around mid-May. You do have to check online and make sure that when the commencement week is to know when these dates are going to happen. But during commencement week, there's all the parents come in, adds to the traffic problems, and there is an air show. Usually it's the Blue Angels 9 out of 10 times. On the actual commencement day, they will do a flyby. The day before commencement, they do the air show. The day before that, they practice. So if you ever get the chance to come down the day before during practice. There's no restrictions in the area for the most part. You can go sit on a lot of the parks on the Severn River, and you're going to be able to see an amazing Blue Angels air show. If you wait till the actual day of the air show, you're still going to get a free air show. You just may be a little bit more restrictive because at that point, we now have a whole bunch of admirals, the vice president or the president, and all the commencement speakers that are in the area. So they start to cut off the area. All right. So just know that in every May, during the midweek of May, look for the commencement week, or when you start hearing them planes flying around on a Monday, go take a look. And by Tuesday, Wednesday, typically you're gonna have a great time to take the kids to and go see a wonderful air show here in Annapolis. Hey everybody, Mike Williams here with Mike Sells Maryland and Remax One of Annapolis. I wanna thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. The number's listed below with the address to our office and my broker's number. If you like these videos, you want to find out more about living in Maryland, then click the subscribe button below. Even better, if you want to know exactly when these videos are posted, click the bell, and every time a video gets posted, you're going to get notified. Have yourself an awesome day, and if you need anything at all, remember, it does matter who you work with.